Black men in this country are killing black women. They're raping children and so on. And these are the men who want to, every time there's an opportunity to bash others, they are in the forefront.
Yeah.
But they're not dealing with their own stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
They're not dealing with the pain that they've caused us. They see us as a problem. They don't see what they've done to South African black women. They don't see that.
Welcome to Tranquil Transformation, a sanctuary for those on the journey of self-discovery and renewal. Here we believe that tranquility is not the absence of challenges, but the calm that follows when we embrace change with an open heart. Tranquil Transformation is about finding peace in the midst of the life storms, discovering the stillness within, and allowing it to guide you through the most profound transformations. Transformation is not just about change, it's about awakening to a new version of yourself, one that has been shaped and strengthened by life's experiences. It's a process of breaking, healing, and emerging anew, like a butterfly from a cocoon, ready to spread its wings and soar. In this place, we explore the art of becoming, of turning pain into purpose, struggles into strengths, and dreams into reality. Whether you're navigating life's twists and turns or simply seeking inspiration, Tranquil Transformation invites you to a journey with us as we uncover the beauty in every moment of growth.
Good day, Tranquil Transformation family. We are back, and today it is a special day, Women's Day. Hey, like we did say that today is going to be a special episode, and we've got a special guest here, Phapano Phasha, and we are very excited to actually get to know her a little bit, and then we will also be touching on why do women do what they do. So if you're looking for our information where to get the Tranquil Transformation family and you want to join us, you'll get the details down there. And if you want to connect with Phapano Phasha, you will also get her details down there. So let's get to it. How are you, Phapano?
I'm blessed, and thank you so much for the invitation.
Do you always answer like that you're blessed?
I am blessed, so I try to give back to the universe so that it can also give back.
Yeah. Normally what I do is that I research about my guests, but I refrain from actually giving an intro, and I hope I didn't do injustice to you, so that I get to actually ask who the person is, and then they get to introduce themselves. So who's Phapano Phasha?
Well, I'm actually trying to figure that out because I realize that the older I get, the broader, in fact, the more content I've become, but my identity is quite different to my identity when I was in my 30s and my 20s. So I guess Phapano is someone who's growing and who's trying to understand life better, but who's more content as she ages.
Oh, so the contentment comes with as you age?
Oh, yes, because that's when you start knowing who you are,
Yeah.
you start having your boundaries. You stop caring about many things, what people think of you.
I relate with you on that one.
No.
I relate with you, especially coming from being a people's pleaser, and then you're like, okay, now I'm doing Sharon. And if you don't like it, it's okay. All right, okay. And you've got a background of politics, right?
Oh, yes. That is my other life, because you would know that we've got multiple personalities and identities, and we have to fit into those identities. So I grew up in politics. I joined, in fact, the political space in 1999 in high school, and then subsequently joined the ANC Youth League, then went into civil society. So at the moment, I'm still actively involved in politics, but now I've gone into the business of politics.
Oh,
Yeah, so I
there's
do.
such.
Yes, there is.
Oh, okay.
Political strategy. There's more money. I believe this, and I've come to realize that there is more money outside of politics. And it's something that I've always known, but I was adamant that the political space was my arena. But then you realize that in any case, most politicians are controlled by some businessman or some company. So why not go into, the business arena? But in my case, I do a lot of, as I said, strategy. I assist a lot of political parties. I also have ventured into the continent. And I mean, if you take this year on its own, They're close to, in fact, over 90 countries who have, like this entire year, close to 90 countries or so would be going to elections. That includes countries that have gone to elections.
Yeah.
So I've tapped into that space where we've been doing elections all over the world, especially within the BRICS countries, because Russia has just gone, Russia went to elections, India has also gone into elections, South Africa as well, and you also have countries in SADC, and then you've got countries in the West, Ghana and so forth, would also be going to elections. So there's a lot of money there. So that's where we've ventured to.
Okay, all right. I didn't know that that part of the politics. Like we did promise the viewers that we're not going to get too much into it, but I was also curious in terms of your identity in that life. This is the last question about politics.
No,
I
you
promise
may ask, you may ask. And okay, before you even ask, one thing about politics is it can turn you into a psychopath because there's a lot of backstabbing. There's a saying broadly that there are no permanent friends and there are no permanent enemies. Now, that on its own, it tells you that it's a messed up space because it means that you have no loyalty to anyone. It's all about you. So that's why you see politicians, they are forever going after each other. I mean, and it happens mainly within black political parties.
Okay.
You've got so many black political parties, and you've got our leaders who supposedly fought for us, who are destroying each other in the public space, all for power. But ultimately, I don't even consider it real power because they don't own the means of production.
That's true. It's not authentic power.
Yes. So, and yourself, when you are in that space, you have to maneuver. So it's constant maneuvering. You have to betray people. So it turns you into something that you are not. It can even turn you into a monster. And I've seen people turning into monsters, and I think that's why others will even kill each other for power. So it's a bad space to be in. It could be a good space, but it's so convoluted. There's a lot of money and interest groups. So it can even numb you. You can stop having emotions. Now, you can imagine if you are a woman, what then happens in that space. Because for many men, you can see what they do. Now, when you're a woman, you can also turn into a man emotionally because it numbs you. It can destroy you emotionally. So, yeah, that's one thing that I'm not missing, even though I'm still there, but I'm not in the contestation space.
Okay. Is this the big reason why you left politics? Was the why different as time went by, the deeper you got into it?
Well, I might not be, okay, I don't belong to any political party, but I still converse and I still assist different political parties. I mean, in the last elections, I assisted MK party.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to its communication. I assisted other parties. But I'm okay where I am.
Yeah.
I will go back into politics because that's what I know. But for now, I'm very content.
Yeah. Very interesting in terms of that it can actually turn you into a psychopath. And one of the things that you also mentioned about that as a woman, it becomes tougher, if I understood you well, and then you tend to also just move from your feminine energy to your masculine energy. And one of the things that I also have realized is that when it comes to men who have masculine energy, it tends to be very hyper masculine. It kind of looks like it's not healthy. So how do we gain the balance, and how do we contribute to each other with our energies that we have to bring to the table? And I'm talking in terms of politics. If you have a position, I'm talking in terms of also relationship, how we relate with people.
For Black people, it's quite difficult.
Why?
Look, we are in a capitalist society. We might not define it as such. We are in a society where there's a lot of expectations from a materialist perspective. We also have a lot of choice. So it's not like a couple of years ago where it would have been so easy to be loyal, to love. Now it's quite different because most of the things, it's mainly based on what is it that you can give me. So also on, you can look at families, how families are, Black families are very strained. You can then look at relationships. It's quite difficult to have a relationship with a Black man today.
So true.
Yeah. So because of many other
I thought I
things,
was the only one.
yeah, no, it's quite difficult. One, we don't have the money, and we are economically constrained. We are financially stretched. So, and we are highly competitive at the same time. So we want things, we want cars, we want houses, we want this and we want that. Now we want BBL, we want big breasts, we want so many things. And you find that we are not able to find each other. So there's a lot of negative energy, and I think also the fact that we have gone materialistic. In fact, I always say that on one hand you've got black capitalists without capital, then there's everyone else who is just hustling to make money. But you have to figure out where the money is at. Yeah, so it's quite bad, because when you have a country that is mainly centered around money, where everything, most things are centered around money and materialism, it's difficult to then start speaking about positive energy,
Yeah.
or for us to start bouncing from each other, because what we want and what we anticipate, as I said, is mainly materialistic. So for me, that's a setback.
How can we cure it?
Wow. Look, centuries ago, our forebears would kill each other to reclaim what one would say was rightfully theirs. We live in a society where we literally owe nothing. We are in debt. We are in perpetual debt, and many people, including the middle class, they are a check away from poverty. So I don't want to bring in politics, but the economy is at the heart of it. We need economic power to do many of the things that we want to do. And both men and women. I mean, black men, as we speak, I don't know how South African men do it, but I try my best to stay away from black South African men emotionally, because the system has emasculated them. There's also feminized them, highly emotional. They're not supportive. They're also bashing black women. It's one thing for to blame black women. I mean, I think black women have a story to tell, because the majority of black women are raising children who don't have fathers. The fathers have run away. Black men are not taking care of their kids. So you've got black women who have a burden to take care of their children on their own and to take care of their extended families. And no one actually cares. So you have women on one hand who are lashing out. They go to social media, they call men dogs and so forth. But we do not have black men who are their sister's keeper. Black men just want, what are you bringing to the table? They're not taking black women along. They just want ready-made goods.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's my observation. So in that state, you have to stay away, because I believe that black men must find themselves, because they are lost somewhere. They want to be loved, but they cannot love. And then they start questioning. I mean, you can even hear the tone, for example. Let me just make an example, and just to digress on this Miss South Africa issue.
Yeah.
The contempt that they have towards African men, and they will say, "Oh, they are sleeping with African men," but who or whom should South African black women go to when the black men are absent? I mean, around 3.6 children are raised by both mothers and fathers in a black household.
These are the stats.
3.6. 3.6 of children are raised by a mother and a father, a black father and a mother. The statistics are there. And then you've got a litany of children who are raised by single mothers. But black men do not care about those statistics. They're just making babies, and they get surprised when black women are bitter. Black women go outside to look for love. If you're not giving them love, what must happen to them? So, and who must raise these boys and girls? So it's a state of chaos in a way.
Talking about that, if they're not getting what they're getting, they go outside. And there's a huge stigma or a huge judgment on women who are caught cheating, or they come out that I've been cheating. Should it be like that? Should it be okay when a man is being caught, or when a man comes and says, I've been cheating?
Well, okay, so this is what I know. I know that our behavior as South African black woman, I would not speak on behalf of white women. I'm not part of that community. And the white community, to be honest, is not of my interest. So if you go to the continent and you speak, you go to the continent and you interact with people from the continent in our country, they say that our values and morals are not the same as women from the continent.
Okay.
In a way, one could say that when you speak about cheating, one could say we are easy. It's easy.
Okay.
It's easy for us to open our legs. It's
Okay.
easy for us to cheat because black men themselves do not love themselves. So it's a perpetual cycle. It's easy for black men to sleep with us the same way. It then becomes easy for us to then say, why not? So within the black family unit, there's not much respect for a family unit. Let me make another example. If you look at the statistics of a family in the continent, you'd see that obviously it's a mother and a father, and in the main, it's people who are nearly of the same age, or could be an 8-year gap or 10-year gap, unless there's some perversion there. But in our country, you've got older men dating very, very young girls because they fear responsibility and they would make all sort of excuses.
Okay.
So my analysis is that because black men are weak, we have also fallen. So women need leadership. And I'm not talking about feminists. So in the absence of a leader, we are going to be leaders. And
Take over.
Yes, we take on this masculine character. And then when you meet a man, you meet your equal or a lesser person that you would not even respect. So I think that's where we are. And also we earn more. Most of us, especially as the middle class, black women, we earn more than black South African men.
Yeah.
It also becomes difficult because now it's a question of power. Where there's more resources, there's power contestation. And now you have to deal with a man who is weak, who is not able to deal with a woman who is bringing more resources, because then comes in their weakness. It's not a strong black man who would be assertive and say, this is my woman, besides what she's bringing in.
Yeah.
So that's what I think, that's the conflict. That's why I have a problem with feminism and abstracts such as patriarchy, because I do understand that we live in a male-dominated world.
Yeah.
But I also accept that the 1994 economy and policy has not been good to a black man, so he's left behind. And we are stuck with him, by the way. We are stuck with this black man. And
We need to accept that?
No, we don't have to.
Okay. All
We
right.
don't have to.
But it's a reality.
But it's a reality.
Okay.
And I think at the same time, we should not be apologetic if we look elsewhere. By the way, elsewhere could be white people or could be white men.
That's true.
Yes,
That's
could
very
be.
true.
It could be white men.
Yeah.
But it could also be men who are raised differently. It
That's
could be
true.
men who are raised to take care of a woman,
Yeah.
to take care of their kids.
Yeah.
So we don't have we don't have such kind of ethics or morals in this country where a man is taught that you need to love and protect your woman. Black men in this country are killing black women. They're raping children and so on. And these are the men who want to, every time there's an opportunity to bash others, they are in the forefront.
Yeah.
But they're not dealing with their own stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not dealing with the pain that they've caused us. They see us as a problem. They don't see what they've done to South African black women. They don't see that. So I think that's where we actually find ourselves.
Why then? You did answer the part of why then women end up cheating. I think I did
I'm
pick
not
that
going to
up.
justify
It's not a justification, it's a reality. Hence why we're having this conversation.
Well, there's also issues of cultural imperialism. If you have no values, you are just going to give it up. We don't have values as black people in South Africa. You've got, at least if you're a Muslim woman, a black woman, if you're Muslim, you know that there are laws within the Muslim society. But the majority of us, where do we get, who tells us that we must not? If you look at in fact, the biggest agenda setting platform is our TV.
Okay.
You have Zoto Wabantu, you have everyone else there who is promiscuous.
That's true.
What would be the expectation if our own, if our own mediums are telling us it's cool to have sex? So no one is guiding us, to ensure that, okay, don't give it up. Just take care of your body,
Yeah.
take care of yourself. No one is educating us on what it means, to ensure that your body is a temple, whatever temple that it might be.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we live in that society. But over and above that, we consume a lot of alcohol as Black women. So where there's alcohol, I can tell you there's a lot of social ills. We drink, then we give it up.
Okay.
So those are some of the challenges that we are faced with. I mean, we are just given things that are not building us. So I think that's the challenge. But we need to start having conversations on how do we actually change it, because
I wanted to ask
yes,
that. Yeah.
for me, I think that's what needs to happen, because in the absence of a structure that is guiding us, we really need to start doing it ourselves. Oh, and I did not answer on men and cheating.
Yeah.
I think I attempted to, but men and cheating, wow. Okay, so before, years ago, I would say no one cheats on you. What I do, I'm doing it for myself. I'm not cheating on you.
Okay.
So that's how I used to view it.
All right.
And how I look at it now, you can't cheat on me now. It's you could have cheated on me when I was young, but now you can't cheat on me. I think for me it's now I've changed the narrative, because now, as you know, I think if I am with a person, I think I am a package. And unless
Nice.
yes,
I like
unless
that.
we
Yeah.
agree that in the beginning,
Yes. Yeah.
we agree that, well, look, we'll have what do you call an open.
Open relationship
Yes.
will be exclusive, I think. Something
Yes.
like that. Yeah.
So I believe that I'm a package and I bring so much into the table. So I would not, no, I would not accept it. And I think it then becomes a discourse on why do people cheat? What
Yeah.
makes people cheat?
Yeah.
We often also hear that men cheat and men cannot stop cheating. I don't know. I think a man who loves himself would not cheat. That's what I think. The same way I think that if you love yourself as a woman, you would not cheat. But I also accept that there are various reasons why Black women also cheat, or why Black men have to
Yeah.
cheat.
Contributing factors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them include hustling. You know.
That's true.
Yes, and we don't think about that. For example, you take slave queens.
Possessions also.
Oh yes. So there are multiple reasons that people do it. But I think if you are in a space where you love yourself, you would not go out of your relationship and cheat. I think it's when you don't love yourself, when you need affirmation, that you would
That's
cheat on your partner. Yes.
Yeah, that's very true. I think I was listening to some guy speaking, and he said that at some point he had problems and he was not aware. So he had a colleague, and he was attracted to the colleague apart from just colleague relationship. Found the colleague very attractive. And he opened up to the wife and said, I find this person very attractive and I really, really want to actually do stuff with this person. And apparently the wife asked, what is wrong? And they had to dig in deep. And then he realized that he's about to get into the new chapter of his life, where he needs a lot of solace, where he needs to think that he has power, because he was operating from fear. So he wanted to get solace from the other person and walk away sexually, thinking that, okay, I've got authority now, I can get into this chapter. So it's very interesting in terms of, if it does happen, can we caution ourselves and ask ourselves why?
Okay, okay. I think I've cheated before.
Yeah.
So, and maybe to use myself as a yardstick, I think if you find a person who, as I said, makes you content, you'd not want to go out.
That's true.
Yes, so
Both men and women.
both men and women. Sometimes you find that with men, it's a question of power as well, especially when they've got finances, especially also, again, with the people who surround them. But as a person who's been single for the better part of my life, because, you know, I would think that there comes a person in your life who changes
Yeah.
everything.
That's true.
Yes, and you can make excuses. Let's say you married and you know, even if you are dating someone, you can always find excuses to why you are doing it.
Yeah.
But if you are, and primarily for women, you know, a woman can leave a wealthy man for a man who makes her content.
That's true.
Yes.
That's very
so
true.
I find that that's what I've found, you know, and that's why I cannot look outside of where I am. So I think also we are looking for way too many things, and we are on social media, and we are attracted to so many things. And if you're not able to control your own mind, and if you're not able to control your emotions, your feelings, the people that surround you, then you're always going to be looking, you know,
Yeah.
everywhere else. And I think for me, that's a challenge. And I also pick it up with my friends and the people who surround me. If my friends are promiscuous, I'm likely to be promiscuous.
That's true. That's true.
You know, so you need to look at those factors. And it's difficult, for example, if you then find a man and he also has promiscuous friends, and you tell him to, you know, you can't, it's difficult unless they're, you know, big enough to say that, look, I've entered a different chapter or I'm in a different space. So I need to hang around with different people who've got different ideals, who've got different dreams. So I think it's about sitting down with yourself and actually deciding where you want to find yourself at. Because if you still want to, because also, you know, when you go outside of your relationship, the affirmation aspect comes in, because you might have a partner who no longer cares, or not necessarily cares, who has forgotten that you are also human, that you also want to be affirmed, that you also want to be told that, oh, you are beautiful, you are handsome, and so forth.
Yeah.
So sometimes you go out looking for all those things, only to find out, especially with women, that women are all the same. You know, she can be a new partner, and she can say whatever I want to hear.
Yeah.
But ultimately,
That's true.
yeah, when it's all said and done, she might behave as my ex-girlfriend, as my wife. So it's quite difficult. But I think, you know, even with the cheating aspect of it, you have to decide, if someone cheats on you, are you going to stay or are you going to leave? I think it's difficult. For women, we stay most of the time. And I find that it eats us inside.
Oh, I've seen that.
Yeah, it kills us. And sometimes you'd say, I'm not going to leave him for another woman. So you stay and you start resenting him. I've seen women resenting their partners because we choose to stay, because we think that we can forgive him. And yeah, so...
No, I've seen that. I think I've seen it with some woman who was very close to me. And I think the decision that I made is that there's so much I can stand for, but this one, I don't want to stand for it. I don't even want to find out who I will become. I don't know. People look at me weird, especially the woman, where they say, like, really, you will leave? I think I don't want to lose myself to that extent. That's what I think. Another thing is that sitting with yourself, because we have this perception that, okay, we are isolating and then we want to sit with ourselves and have conversation with ourselves. And we sometimes don't really actually do that. But now sitting with yourself, and you did say that you have cheated before, I myself have, were you able to detect what was the reason behind?
Okay, I had to think about that part. In most instances, I was not in love. I was not content. And I think it was just, you know, the flesh. Yeah, but I think being content, because if you take women in our country and what we know, the information that we know, it's easy for us to leave, you know, as you're saying that you can isolate and so on. So I think knowing what we know is also good. Knowing that we can leave
Okay.
is also good. I think the upside of it is cheating instead of leaving.
Okay.
Yes, because sometimes we stay and we cheat because we have already left the relationship,
Oh,
but we don't
yes,
want to
that's true.
leave. We don't want to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we are done with the relationship. We're buying time to find someone else. And in the process, that's when the cheating, happens, because we're trying to find someone to replace this person who's not making us happy. So, and it happens most of the time. And I've had conversations with women who said, no, I'm gone. I'm done. Yes, I won't leave him. I've left, in fact, but I won't leave him physically until I'm sorted, until I
Yeah.
find someone else. Yes.
Is it because we're afraid of being alone? In terms of not leaving?
Well, it could be, but there are people who can be alone and content, not necessarily lonely. There are people who cannot deal with their loneliness. So there are people who can be alone and be content. And I think sometimes you can stay.
Okay.
No, if you're okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're okay with it, but you have to figure out, like, you have to deal with the consequences.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
You have to deal with the consequences, but I don't see it as a problem.
Yeah.
You're just buying time.
Okay.
Yes. And I think also it's because I also have picked up that we don't also hold black men accountable. That's why they get away with everything. And I would not want to say I'm loving what black women are doing, because if I would say that, I would then come out as if
I
I'm.
hear you.
Yeah. No, we must revenge. No, we must.
You're saying what you're not saying.
Yes, because I mean, if you think about it, and this is how I used to think about it, our mothers and our grandmothers were abused
Okay.
by our fathers. I mean, they had no say. They were supposed to take everything that would come their way, the cheating, the manipulation, the abuse, and we are a different generation. But if we deal with this black man, it comes back to us, because we deal with them and they have to go to another black woman and they take out their anger on another
them.
black.
It's a vicious cycle.
I'm like, no, man, we can't leave this man. After, like, this man, like, sometimes I'm like, no, man. In fact, we need to organize ourselves so that we properly deal with them.
That would be very nice. Actually, we should start that movement. That would be very nice. The only thing that I also picked up as when we gather as women, we say or we stand for things that we wish that we were really standing for. So, for instance, I'm just making an example. I come and I say, I'm not going to stay if I found somebody cheating. And then, boom, it happens to me. And when it happens, and I stay. And then when I come and meet with women, I still put this facade that, no, I'm going to leave the relationship. I've got a plan, because I think there is some shame in terms of what we stand for publicly versus what we stand for privately. So I've got issues a little bit with women where sometimes if maybe I've met with them and then we come out, we're feeling very powerful. But when we have to really do the test in the field, we actually don't do what we say we will do. For instance, if a guy ghosts you, she would say, no, I'm not going to follow a guy, I'm not going to follow up. And then you only find out that actually she's been following up.
Yeah. Or they would speak about gender-based violence.
Yeah.
And you find that they're the ones who are being beaten up at home.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, it's fiction versus reality.
Okay.
What happens?
I like how you put it.
Yeah, what happens in the public domain, and the conversations that you have with your girlfriends and women, it's not what happens, in real life when you are on your own. And love is something else. It's quite bizarre. I mean, yeah. So those, I think for me, it's not, you can't really judge women based on what they say. Obviously, you'd expect them to stick to what they say. But it's quite difficult. Reality is quite difficult.
Okay.
Yeah, so I myself am a victim of that. I mean, I've said, if he cheats, I will go. If I find this, I will go. But you stay. And because you love your man and you stay. And when you stay, you teach him not to be accountable. He will likely do it again. Because you love him and you know that he loves you too. And then you continuously forgive him. And yeah, that's the reality. Because now the other thing is that you have to start afresh. I mean, these are complexities that you have to navigate. That, okay, I can leave. But when I leave, I have to start afresh. The jungle is not easy.
No, it isn't.
No.
I saw after a divorce, I'm like, yes.
What is it? The grass is not always greener.
Greener on the other side.
So you're like, okay, you have to then, calculate. If I leave him, you have to weigh. If I leave him, what happens? How bad is his transgression? Has he apologized? Is he sorry? So you have to look at all those things. And unfortunately, that's the space you have to real life. It's not this. It's not the story that you would tell your friends, but it's actually real life where you forgive a person.
I wanted to say that.
Yes. But then I figure out that you don't forgive yourself because you decide to forgive this person who has hurt you. But you don't forgive yourself because in the process of forgiving this person, you have to manipulate your emotions. And then you turn into a stalker, and then you turn into everything else. You go through his phone, you go through the bin, you go through everything else because you cannot trust this person that you claim that you have, forgiven. So you might have forgiven this person, but consciously you have not. So I mean, for me, these are the challenges, and I've lived that, where I am. I've taken a decision that look, let's work it out, but sort it out.
Okay.
Yeah, sort it out. As long as I don't know, because I would not want to come here and act as a diva who can easily walk away. Beyonce stayed.
She stayed.
She stayed. Yeah. So I'm not gonna sit here and attempt to be a diva. I'm like, sort it out. Let me not find out. I don't want to know. Sort it out. That's where I am. And I don't want to cheat. I don't want to compete. I love you. If you do anything, and I'm not giving you the latitude to do as you please, but if you ever sort it out, I do not want to find out.
Because you know what it will do to you.
Exactly.
Mentally.
It destroys you because you start second guessing yourself. It no longer becomes about the other person. It becomes about you second guessing yourself. Am I beautiful enough? Am I good enough? So it becomes about you, not the other person. It's better that you don't know. And you then say, okay, as long as he respects me, as long as he loves me, then you look at those factors because it's definitely going to kill you.
Then how do we break the cycle? Do you think it will ever be broken? Because I think our parents were exposed to this and their parents were exposed to this. Do you ever think this will be broken, or it's just part of our cycle and we have to accept and make peace with it?
Well, when I look at my mother and when I look at my aunties and women, they did not have a voice. They could not speak out. They accepted, and some would even go and pray. I mean, that's why you see churches every Thursday.
Yeah.
It's packed with women. Women praying for their husbands, their cheating husbands. Women praying for their kids. So women carry a lot of burden. And for those who believe in God, at least they've got a God that they can go to and that they believe would be able to carry, the weight of whatever they are going through. But for us, it's a different story because we know, you know, and also, you know, the question of choice. It's like, okay, there are so many, but I have to go through a lot before I mean, the options are too many, but they're not too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those are some of the things that you actually have to navigate.
And that's the truth.
Yeah. So I believe where you are at peace, that's where you have to be, and you have to work it out. As long as it gives you peace, that's your space, and just work it out.
So are you saying that we can't hold them accountable, even though we've detected where the problem is?
Everyone must be held accountable.
Yeah.
I think what I've said is you can leave, but if you choose to stay, so you can leave. Because I can sit here and say that leave. Obviously, if I believe if he's not beating you up, if he's not abusive, if he is a man, and if he gives you peace, then you stay.
Okay.
I'm not going to lie and say that you must leave. I'm not going to do that. As long as he's responsible, he does not compromise you, you know, then you can stay and work it out. I'm not going to lie to any woman at home and say that pack your bags and leave. We are go pee. How you gonna start? And for me, those are, as I said, the complex answers that I do not have. The majority of women who tell you to go are the ones who stay. They stay and they sort it out. And many women can say, "Oh, you must leave." Before they divorce their husbands, many
Yeah.
women stay and work it out.
Okay.
And some of them leave when they've decided that, look, this is not workable.
Yeah.
I need to go. But many women stay.
And
they,
that's true.
yeah, and they work it out. As long as you're not compromising yourself in the process, as long as you're not doing, I've heard many women saying, "Oh, I'm doing it for the kids." Do it for yourself, because you don't want to resent your kids as well. You don't want to resent other people. Do it. Make a decision to stay, and when you are there, if it makes you happy, then you stay.
Okay.
So that you don't have me. I don't live with regrets. I can tell you now, with everything that I've done in my life, the few men that I have met, I have no regrets. That's
Yeah.
why I cannot call a man inja. That's why I have
I
no
relate with
yes,
you.
I have
Yeah.
no hatred for any man, because whoever I decided to be with, it was my decision. Whatever I do, it is my decision. So if I decide to stay with a man that I love, and that man decides to go outside of our relationship, and I choose to stay, I will live with that. So that's how I live my life.
Okay.
So whatever decision that you make, you must ensure that you will deal with the consequences in the future. So that's why it's important also to reflect. If I take this decision, if I take this man, will I live with the decision? And if your answer is yes, then you better live with that decision.
Yeah, that's a tough one, eh? But it's the truth. That's a tough one. Can we tap into the masculine and feminine energy? So you said that in politics, they are men, right? And I think you're operating where men are dominating, if I'm not mistaken. I come from a background in terms of work where it's dominating, men are dominating. So at some point, I think I had to be more masculine than being more feminine to be taken serious. So moving from that shift and going home to your partner, and you longing to be getting into your feminine energy, where you just taken care of and you just trust the leadership, but you don't get that. How do you navigate the two?
Oh, that's a difficult one. I think, look, when you're young, I think when you're young, it's quite different. I also think if you're single, you can make those observations about the type of man, or you can make a decision about a type of man that you want. Now you are in a partnership, and let's say you start earning a salary, or you get a salary
to touch that.
increment,
Yeah.
or your income, you earn more than your partner. Then you must start having a conversation, because you would find that the man that you are with is not masculine enough to accept that, yes, monetarily you might earn more, but you are still a woman. But at the same time, you find that Black women as well do not know how to deal with leadership outside of their homes. So when they come home as well, they still want to be men.
Okay.
So I think those are the complexities. But if you have a weak man, you have a weak man. You can't change it.
Okay.
And you are going to become miserable. You are not going to win. You are going to be with a man who resents you for your own
That's
success.
true. That's true.
So, and that is a dangerous space, because the man can also be abusive. So it's a dangerous space to navigate, because they also know that when you are in the office, you are with executives,
That's true.
and they would then want to also compete with your CEO, with the men who surround you. So that's a difficult space to navigate. So I've seen women trying to appease their men, they try to dampen down, and you try to convince your man that, no, it's okay. You are still the man, but the man is not changing. The man does not change. The man will not accept that you earn more than them.
Okay.
And it's a reality.
Yeah.
And you have to choose, because if it does not give you peace, you can't be there. If your man is not going to accept that you are not bigger than them, but in terms of your profession, your income, if they're not prepared to accept it and take a step back, then you are in trouble. So you need an anchor. If you're not getting one, you are with your child.
Yeah. That's
Yeah, you are going to babysit.
That is so true.
Yes, you are going to babysit that man. You need a man. That's what you need. And for me, some of the things that you can do, because I believe that I must add value to a man. I can't be in a relationship just for being in a relationship.
Yeah.
When I'm in a relationship, I have to add value to your life. I also expect you to add value into my life.
Yeah.
So when I'm with a man, I want my man to grow with me. So that's what I do. And I bring, let's say it could be a woman who's in the office. You also need to take responsibility of grooming your man, mentoring your man. Is he a businessman, or is he an entrepreneur? Is he an 8-to-4 person? Help your man to better themselves.
Yeah.
That's what I believe in. And I think that's what works. We have to hold each other's hands. I can't be moving forward and my man is behind. But then in the process of me moving forward, I need a man who's going to carry me. And when I get home, the man will still be a man and the man will still love me.
Yeah.
But I can't be with a weak man. I can't just be. But at the same time, as I'm saying, I ensure that when I'm with my man has to use my networks.
Okay.
My man has to use whatever I have that can change his life.
Yeah.
So that's how I operate. Because as I said, I don't want to be with a weak man. And also I don't want to be with a man who is financially stretched.
Okay.
So when I'm with a person, we have to work hard to ensure that we make money, we grow. And now I'm learning how to pray and stuff.
Yeah.
So I want a man that I'm going to pray with,
Yeah.
and so forth. So I want to balance everything so that my man does not go out. But hey, you've got this once, you try, and then, but I do my best to ensure that where I am, I become an investment, and who I'm with also becomes an investment in my life. So we all invest in each other. Yes.
And if that happens, do you think it's good enough to leave?
To leave. If it's working out,
I'm saying if it's not working out,
you leave. You would have tried
good enough.
You would have tried your best. You cannot kill yourself for another human being.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
You cannot kill yourself for another man who's not prepared to change. You leave and you go start afresh.
Okay. Now, the reason why I asked is that when I was divorcing, I think I was getting common questions. Did he cheat? And I'm like, no. Was he beating you up? No. And whatever my reason was at that time, trying to explain it to them, I saw that they don't understand. And I stopped explaining myself because I lived the life and I know how it made me feel.
How did it make you feel?
Ooh. I lost myself. I lost myself. I was not sleeping. There was just a whole lot on my shoulders financially. And I also was trying to keep the respect, but it was difficult.
So, okay, I'm not interviewing you now.
Okay.
So how do you think men feel when they have to take all the responsibility? The woman is not working.
Yeah.
How do they feel? And how do they respond? And how should they respond?
I get what you're
No,
saying.
I'm just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think, okay. And you're talking about the modern world right now when the woman is not working and he's solely the
Yeah.
provider.
Because remember with our fathers worked
Mm-hmm.
and our mothers would stay at home.
Yeah.
And they did not earn enough, but they still had to be fathers. And
Yeah.
at the workplace, they were called boy.
Yeah.
When they come back home, they have to be father figures.
Yeah.
And they're not earning enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now, what do you think you could have done better? Do you,
I think I've done my best. I think, and remember, it was not a decision that I just made overnight. It took me 4 years to get to that decision. So, and in the 4 years, I think I gave everything that human possible I could give into it.
no, great
Yeah.
decision.
So when I left, I was not. I didn't doubt my decision. I was at peace with it. Yeah. So it was a very interesting dynamic. Yeah, and then there's a whole lot of work that you still need to do to yourself before leaving. I remember one of my colleagues. He asked me to buy food. And I'm like, you're a man. You're expecting me to buy food. And then when I was driving back, I realized that Sharon, you were reacting there. So what was the trigger? And then I had to now identify where is it coming from. So yeah, there's a whole lot of work when you also come out that you still need to do so that you can draw the line. Am I being taken advantage of, or am I contributing in the relationship?
That makes sense.
Yeah,
We have to be taken care of. We are not providers. We are not
That's true.
made to be providers.
Yeah.
And as I said, if you get a weak man, if you get a man who doesn't understand and who cannot appreciate what you're bringing in, you have to leave. You have to save yourself. Because if you don't save yourself, who is going to save you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I can't believe that already an hour has passed, and I was really enjoying the conversation. Before we close, I did hear you mentioning that you're learning to pray. What got you to that point, and what season are you in right now?
I met a man who prays.
Ooh.
In fact, when I met him,
Like that.
yes, it was just that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just met a man who prays, a good man, a well-educated man, and I just decided to pray myself, and
Okay.
it's working out. I don't go to church,
Yeah. Yeah.
but we pray together, and I
Okay.
think that's where I am now.
That's a nice path.
No, it is because I mean I've always been on my own,
Yeah.
and I've always been manly.
Yeah.
I've never taken relationships seriously.
Yeah.
So I find myself in a space where I'm a baby and I have a man.
Okay.
So that's what I'm loving.
You've always been manly. Does it have, is your background contributing to that? I remember you did say that dad was married to 4 women. Do you think it contributed for you having to stand up on your own? You took yourself to school?
Well, most of it, but I was also a tomboy.
Okay.
So it's a combination of many factors. But
Yeah.
yes, how I grew up, where I had to take care of myself, and where I don't trust. I don't trust.
Okay.
That's why I'm always calculative, and no, with me I can say all these things that I'm saying, but I'm always watching.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay. Observing.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm very, very calculative.
Yeah.
Yeah, but as I was saying, because we have to step into this masculine energy as women. When you meet a man who accepts your family, who takes you in as a woman, and even though they can see that you're an alpha male, they're still able to dampen you down.
Yeah.
And they're able, you become this baby.
Oh.
So I think for me, that's the most important thing. And I'm hoping that we need to take this conversation to men. We need to have a conversation
Okay.
with black men,
Yeah.
because you need to start taking accountability. And I think that's what we need to do. We give birth to men. We raise this man.
Yeah.
And I think black men are failing black women. And I really think that we need to start having this conversation about the status of the black family, where black men are, and do they actually deserve to be called men? So I think we need to have this conversation, because a man is, it's a huge title.
That's true.
Yeah. So
Carrier of dreams.
yes. So let's have another conversation, perhaps in a same platform, but maybe I think it's an important discussion, because no one holds black men accountable.
Here, Phapano, like, where do you come from? I want to challenge you. While you were talking about having to take the conversation elsewhere, do you think the same conversation that we had, or the one that we're about to be having, do you think you will have the same answers if we move out of the studio and we probably go to a restaurant where we're comfortable and we have a chat about this one? Do you think it's worth trialing out?
No, it's quite important, and it's urgent. I've written extensively on black men.
Yeah.
And the papers that I've written, it's mainly about, black men matter. So I understand and I think we spoke about that earlier on, what black men have gone through.
Yeah.
But we cannot continuously be the ones who are speaking for a men who do not care. A men who are neglecting their children, who are not taking care of their families. We cannot do that. We need to start engaging black men to say, when are you going to start? When are you going to step up?
Yeah.
Black men need to step up, because we are not men. We are not made to be masculine.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we have to be men in the absence of real men.
Yeah.
That's why we have to go to them to say that, look, we have done our best. We are raising your kids. We are raising families. Where are you? And they will be talking about DNA and so forth. And as I said, what you bring to the table, but they're nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
So
Actually, the table is empty.
extremely empty, extremely empty. So let's take it out. Let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
Like men and women. But let's start with this man. But let's call them out. We haven't called them out. Yes, we just insult them. Let's start talking to them and not talking about them.
Yeah.
And hopefully they will listen.
Yeah. Just raise a consciousness there.
Yeah.
Wow.
They are aware, but they are ignorant to the pain the pain and harm that they have caused to many black women.
Bleeding out.
Bleeding out. It takes a strong woman not to be vengeful towards a black man.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's very interesting what you just brought, and I think that's very powerful, having to start engaging and just raising the consciousness. I think that's actually a brilliant idea, and hoping that it will make an impact. So we're just raising this challenge. We'll take it out. We'll have a discussion, raise the consciousness. If possible, not even in the studio. We can have it at a restaurant and invite whoever that wants to be part of this movement, particularly our brothers, and hoping that it will change and break the cycle that has always been there. Phapano, any last words that you want to say on Women's Day to our beautiful women?
No, I think as we closed, let me just say thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks to you. But black women, you are beautiful, you are strong, you are courageous. Just keep up the momentum. Don't give up on black men. Don't take your anger on your sons. Let's raise, strong black men. Let's raise these boys to be strong, to also be courageous, and to love black women. Happy Women's Day. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming, and thank you for, like with your busy schedule, you managed to squeeze this family in, and we appreciate the impact and the conversation that we had. So we're looking forward to the next conversation outside the studio, somewhere in a restaurant. We'll pick the venue. Just drop your messages in terms of just responding by writing up level on Instagram. The information is there. If you don't have Instagram, we can take it to YouTube in the comments where you just write up level, showing that you are part of this movement. And let's have a conversation, the tough one, the necessary one. So, yeah.
Thank you. It's about time.
I agree. All right, Tranquil Transformation. We hope that you enjoyed this conversation, and we're looking forward to your comments. And have yourself a lovely, lovely Women's Day and a Women's Month.